Hello, good evening. I'm Oral Gibbes, and welcome to Oral Gibbes Live. And we're coming to you from World Star Studios at Amsterdam Shopping Center. And with me this evening is a very, very experienced politician, and she's known to all of us here in St. Martin. And it's Mrs. Buncamper. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you, Oral. Good evening. Good evening to you, and good evening to your audience, people of St. Martin.
Well, thank you for being in the program this evening. Should I say you're a well-seasoned politician?
Well, I think there's always something to learn, but seasoned, yes, and still there, ready to get even more experience and to make more contributions, and at least use my experience, to the best that I can for this island.
So when did you first started as a politician?
Well, that was way back in 1995.
95, okay.
Yes.
Just before Hurricane Lewis, right?
Just before Hurricane Lewis, that's right. And I was not even 27 yet. And it's interesting because as I get back into politics now, I sit amongst candidates, and I'm one of the oldest in the group.
Really?
And the 27-year-olds are some of the youngest in the group. So it's an interesting development, and interesting to still be in it.
So how have you seen politics change over that 21 years now?
It has changed a lot in the sense that I think the environment has become more hostile. But at the same time, I see also a development whereby you have more people are participating in the election, but are not quite in tune with what Parliament, in this case, we have Parliament of Parliament elections. That's what it's about, and I'm getting the sense that people don't quite grasp what it really is about, and so you're losing the essence of what the campaign should entail, and what is expected from the representative and what is expected from the voter. Their expectations as to what the election involves and what they should be looking for in a candidate, I think is watered down, is not clear. And that is somewhat concerning. But yes, it's become a much more competitive environment. And that means that you need to step up to the plate and challenge the current situation and put your best foot forward.
When you said earlier that it's more hostile, when I hear people speak about 1979, I was not in St. Martin at the time. I was away studying. I heard that was a very hostile time because it was a real big new opposition party coming up against the DP. And so today now, in 2016, how you view the hostility in politics or among political parties?
I see it more, and again, I can only base this on my own experience. So when I speak of the hostility, it is my 20-odd years in politics, and clearly I wasn't around in 1979 in politics yet. But so my hostility or my expression thereof has to do with the personal aspect of it. If we would stick to the issues and we would stick to the issues as they are, truthfully, I think we would have much more interesting debates. But however, what you find is that it has become a lot more personal, and then your family gets, dragged through the mud, so to speak, and your friends, your circle, and it becomes an environment where it is not pleasant at all. You really need to think about it well before getting into politics or getting back into politics, because that is something that comes with it. And I think perhaps that may not have been the case before. It certainly wasn't the case when I started out in politics. But perhaps it also has to do with my continuous involvement and evolving in politics, becoming perhaps more of a person to be reckoned with, and that it therefore becomes, let's say, nasty.
When you look back, you've had some legal issues that has been dragging on 4 years now.
Yeah.
What are your feelings about that right now?
Well, yeah, the fact that it's been dragging on for years, yeah, that is something, especially when I speak to other people who've gone through the same thing, and perhaps not as publicly, that's a big concern, you know, that something like this could take so long. But I'm confident that at the end of it all, because I am in an appeal process at this moment, that it will end well. But I think there are some issues, though, in general, that we need to address with respect to the justice system. It should not be possible that the media can have direct contact with the public prosecutor's office and get information about an individual that they may or may not be investigating, but the individual themselves has no access or is unable to get access to the public prosecutor's office. I think there's an imbalance there that needs to be addressed. And so while the experience I've been going through now for all this time is quite unpleasant, it's also a learning experience and something that I can take with me as I go back into Parliament.
So you decided again to run for office.
Yes.
Were there any, how should I put this, how did you and your family really look at this? Because, you know, you were putting yourself up again for a lot of criticism. You know, yeah. The political game is not easy, and you're going to have other candidates, other parties probably saying, well, you know what, maybe Mr. Buncamper is not the right person. They'll probably pull up your legal problems and so forth. Do you think you take the big chance in doing that, or you feel that it's okay?
Well, you see, there's an advantage that I have had during this disadvantage. And that is that my legal problems have been on the front page of the paper every beat of the clock. So there is really nothing else left to tell. The story has been told. So what else is there to focus on other than that? It's my ability, my track record. And what's my ability and track record been within politics? It's been positive. I am result-oriented. I get things done. I've had that experience in the Island Council, chairperson of Central Committee. I've been in the Parliament of Netherlands Antilles, state secretary. I've been commissioner. In between, I've been president of the Chamber of Commerce. And through it all, I've done my community service. I've done my community work as a volunteer. So when we look at my track record as a citizen of St. Martin, it cannot be disputed. I know what I'm doing, and I get it done. And so as we move on, and we considered why should I not get back into the race, it basically was a no-brainer, because really those type of negative aspects are insignificant, and it's nothing that I haven't or we haven't been through before. So it's another 5 weeks, so to speak, or a short period. You know, elections are for a short period, and you know they start and they end. And after that, hopefully, there's an opportunity to govern for 4 years. Okay. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Let's move on to your track record, because it's a record that a lot of politicians will envy too.
Yeah, so that I expect some criticism there, perhaps, but rather than envy, maybe it's a good idea to admire. Look, as a member of the Island Council, member of Parliament, one can certainly say that I have brought the issues up. I have been critical, whether it was my party in government or not, and I have informed people. If there's one thing you need to do, at least I believe so, as a representative of the people, because you are speaking on their behalf, you need to inform them. And I remember people telling me over and over, particularly when I was a member of Parliament, that I was one of the very few that brought the information back home. So they actually knew what was going on in the Parliament of the Netherlands Antilles. They knew what was happening on Curacao that affected the people of St. Martin. And so my record, yeah, you know, I have what it takes. to get it done. I look back, for example, at this Parliament, and you ask yourself, okay, so what have the members of Parliament in the past 6 years on St. Martin, what have they done? What sort of proposals have they brought? You know, what have they contributed to St. Martin? How have they done their jobs? And I look back at what are the circumstances under which I worked in the Netherlands Antilles at the time. You know, you had to fly every other week to Curacao, leave your family behind. When you got there, you got your stack of documents. It's only then you had really an opportunity to prepare for your
meetings. You got the documents when you arrived in Curacao at that time?
Yes. That's sending documents by email was not a big thing,
Exactly.
You know, and that's not even so long ago.
Right.
So more often than others, you got your documents when you got there the night before, and so you stayed up most of the evening, most of the night preparing, and then you had a full week of meetings. And I have to also say that you know, getting back to the environment within which you're working, while that is challenging, the having to travel every week, the getting the documents late, you did have at that time a setting in which to work, in which most of the other members of Parliament had an academic level of education, so your debates were on a certain level. And secondly, you had a staffing within the Parliament building itself of about 4 to 5 people with a legal background, so had studied law. So if you needed any technical support, whether it was to understand, research, or to make proposals, you had that support there so you could get things done. For example, you may remember when the income tax was reduced, or I should say the income tax legislation was reformed, and then the Netherlands Antilles removed the deductibility of the comprehensive insurance, home insurance. Right. So, you know, your hurricane insurance now you couldn't subtract. And for us, that was devastating because we're in a hurricane belt. And so when I became a member of Parliament, I made the amendment. Now, how did I know how to make an amendment? Because I'm not a lawyer, but I do know how to make use of the resources that are available. And the resources that were available, meaning the staff in Parliament, your colleagues, with that assistance, I was able to put together an amendment, get it supported by other members of Parliament, even those that were not supporting the coalition, by lobbying. You know, if you want to go in there and do a one-man show, you're going to have a tough time.
What the amendment was?
To reintroduce the deductibility of the insurance premium, hurricane insurance, the comprehensive insurance company. And it was done, it passed. But there's a whole process that it has to go through.
Yeah.
You know, what's the point I'm making is this. Look, it takes somebody who knows what it is they're doing. Number one, you got to know what the important issues are. What is important to your people, and then once you've decided to make a change, you got to walk the road. You got to know how to walk, and if you don't know, at least know who to go to, and you need to also know how to lobby. Politics has a lot to do with that. If you think you're just going there to be this one-man show and take all the credit, you're more often than not going to be knocked down. But if you lobby and you make it something that's a solution that we all bring, then you bring people together. Because at the end of the day, it is for the people. It's not about you being able to put another star behind your name.
Let's look at the Parliament of St. Martin. Since 2010, the big complaint from a lot of people who are very knowledgeable with how Parliament functions, they're saying, look, Parliament is not functioning the way it should be. And at the same time, members of Parliament do not have the kind of support that they need in terms of legal minds to really help them in terms of forming legislation that they can then introduce to Parliament and make changes. They have done very little of that.
Yeah, and that's my point exactly. But who determines the budget of Parliament? Isn't it Parliament itself? Who determines the staffing in Parliament? Parliament itself. So it means that whatever budget that is available for Parliament to do its work, whatever staffing is in place, it is as a result of the decisions of Parliament.
What surprises me, Mr. Buncamper, is that I hear so many people, so many politicians speak about the urgency of our young people in terms of getting our best and brightest minds back to this island to work. I listen to parents. I've never met a parent who didn't have a complaint about the difficulty of their child returning to this island and getting their rightful place in this island in terms of making a contribution to work. And I don't understand anymore what's going on. And a lot of people are very, very, very disappointed in politicians in the process, because what they see is that outsiders can come here, work in government. In fact, or local administration now is probably, if it continue at the pace it's going, it will be our own people probably is outnumbered by now. And those that have any kind of advanced degree are literally kept out of the process. Our own people can't get work, making it very difficult to get work. And I still hear the politicians saying, but you know, we need these people, we need X, Y, we want this, we need this. But when the time comes and the young person present themselves that this island is invested, no country, no country in the world has a budget on education like St. Martin. Education is the highest. We invest huge amount of money, and then we just throw them away when they come back.
There are a few things we could do to address that, because that's an old problem, so to speak.
That won't go away.
No, well,
Yeah.
in 1991, 92, I came back, and I still found some of the old applications that I sent out, over 20 of them on this island, and I was either overeducated or underexperienced. And I'm sure
I went through that too.
You went through it, and today, young people, when they come back, they go through it. So we got to be doing something
wrong. But it should
wrong.
be different, because now I bring people here, I bring ministers, I bring members of everybody's saying we need all these people. And when they present themselves as a local, they don't need them.
So your government, and now this is the executive branch of government, needs to make a clear priority. St. Martin's first, number one. If you have a position, and in that position you need X, Y, Z qualifications, and 3 people present themselves, a St. Martiner, an Antillean, and someone from Timbuktu, for that matter, with equal qualifications, you have to meet the qualifications that St. Martiner should be first. If they're lacking in experience, then that is something that you can assist with. Give that St. Martin an opportunity to gain that experience. But if you're going to use that experience, lack of experience, to disqualify them, then we are basically shooting ourselves in the foot. So it's an executive decision that has to be established, that this is the way we are doing things. This is a priority. And we are allowed to, so to speak, make that discrimination, because within our law, when it comes to labor and employment, we can give our St. Martiners that advantage. So that's a policy that your government can simply implement. But I'd like to take it a step further. When we have our university, and its programs continue to expand. But at this moment, if I'm not mistaken, 800,000 guilders is what is budgeted by government for our university. The budget required for the university, as I have been informed, is 3 million if it is to operate optimally. 800,000 and 3 million, that's a big difference. Now, in addition to that, we continue to give students who are not going to the Netherlands scholarships, financing, I should say, to the United States of about $15,000. But students going to the University of St. Martin do not get that amount. What's going on? Why can't a student who decides to go to the University of St. Martin, providing that the courses they are taken are certified, and they end up with an equivalent accredited degree, so why can't they get that $15,000 to go to school in St. Martin? whereby you now foster a larger group of educated, academic, local people who are less likely not to stay here. So you are encouraging homegrown, educated people. I do believe it is important for them to get some experience off the island. You can build that in, but you have a higher chance that the St. Martiner or the young person that goes to the University of St. Martin that is educated here will remain here and will work here and will contribute and help build this country. So there are a few fundamental things that we need to do, but we need to do them very consciously. And we need to set our priorities. If we're going to have a university, let's do it good or let's not do it at all.
You know, the thing is that whether they study here or not, that's not going to be the issue. We have a culture here, and you know, unfortunately, we don't believe in our own. It's very clear from the government and the policy and then the numbers you just mentioned in terms of 800,000 to 3 million, that the government don't believe in the University of St. Martin. And there might be some reasons for that, I don't know, in terms of accreditation, etc. But the thing is that it is beginning to bother me because I'm seeing it now as a parent. Mm-hmm. You got your best and your brightest and well-educated. And I've been around this for a long time. I've heard a lot of people. But then when you start to see what's happening, government need to get their act together. Absolutely. They cannot ask for the people of St. Martin to vote for them. And when they get in office, all of a sudden the people of St. Martin is not good to serve the people of St. Martin. This is a big issue.
But Oral, it is the people of St. Martin that put the government in place every 4 years. So we have to look at ourselves.
And that's the reason why I'm going to ask you and everyone else now, how committed are you to the people of St. Martin?
Of course, I think my track record shows it. Oral, I took a delegation to Holland to an employment fair. I was ridiculed. I was criticized. Oh, you're spending so much money taking this big delegation and you come back with you employ one person. But what had we done prior to that for decades? We had done nothing. I'd been to Holland speaking to our students, the diaspora, who feel neglected, that St. Martin doesn't care about them. And I said, no, it's the contrary. We do care. We do want you to come back. We want to have those opportunities. And when you make that step to go and get them and bring them back, of course they are reluctant because they don't believe it. This is the first time a delegation comes to Holland and they're looking to hire us, but this is strange. Of course it's reluctant. So your first time is going to be, your success is going to be limited. You got to keep doing it, and you got to keep doing it. And I know that some efforts have taken place since then, but you have to focus on it. We're not believable right now in the eyes of our St. Martiners who are abroad because we've not made serious effort, at least not consistently, to bring them back home. But it's not a hopeless case, Oral. It is not a hopeless case. It is the people, the voters that vote the government, well, they vote the parliament in. And it is those parties that get together, more likely than not in a coalition, and put the Council of Ministers in place. So it starts with the voting public, the people of St. Martin, electing the right people. Those people then have to make sure that those who are taking care of the day-to-day, which is the Council of Ministers, which is the government, the day-to-day tasks, that they're actually carrying out those things that they committed to, that the politicians went to the people with. A manifesto is not just a piece of paper with a few words on it, you know. That manifesto is supposed to mean something. When I go to the voting public, when I go to the people of St. Martin, whether in a contact meeting, a public meeting, on radio, on TV, whatever form, or one-on-one, and I said, this is my plan. This is my plan. This is what I'm committed to do. And yes, there is an understanding that if I'm in a coalition, I may have to compromise here and there because you just can't do 100% what your plan says if you have to compromise with others to form a coalition. That's a reality. But at least your priorities, which are in black and white in your manifesto, should mean something. Now, if the voter can take that as something valuable, as something that has weight and say, well, I'm using this to vote for somebody. Not just what is written in there, but take along their experience, take along their track record. I know this person can get things done once they put their mind to it. And they're saying, this is what we're doing as it is in the manifesto. Okay. Then vote for that person, but don't go voting for people just for so, and then expect different results.
Anyway, you were telling me during the break, you all don't have the manifesto per se, but there's some issues that you want to focus on in terms of, say, for example, a lot of people on this island have some issues with taxes.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from my own experience, you sometimes get 3-4 years assessment all in one day. And then they're asked to pay it all in 1 month or 2 months, what have you. And it's difficult. And we all want to pay our taxes, but we need some time, and it should be done in a fair way. You, as a politician, you've been around, you've seen the problems. What do you see as the main problems in taxes today in St. Martin?
I think it's the system itself. It's the type of taxes we have itself. I mean, you know, what you described is the application of it. The administration of applying the taxes, applying compliance, that's one part. And yes, they always seem to be running behind. And so at some point in time, they do some catch up, and then you end up with a whole lot of assessments at one time. But I want to take it into the system itself. The tax system as it is now is not very attractive and does not promote working hard, does not support ambitious people, ambitious workers and ambitious investors and entrepreneurs. And it certainly does not make it attractive for anyone, be it a local or a foreign investor, to establish here and do business. I say so because we have a 34.5% profit tax. I mean, on top of that, we have the turnover tax. And then if you have a car rental, for example, you have another 5% car rental tax. If you have, if it's hotels, you have a visitors, a hotel room tax. So you go on and on, you add it up, there's a lot of tax. Now, how attractive is that environment for you to work in? Why? So half of the money that you're making goes towards taxes. That's not the idea. Any investor is looking for the highest return on their money, on their investment. And you have to be able to survive. You have to be able to grow. It has to be more attractive for me to do my business or to be self-employed, to be an entrepreneur, than it is to go and work for somebody and settle for a 9-to-5 job. And even so, the 9-to-5 job, the harder I work because of our progressive tax system. It means that at some point in time, your income gets to the level of 47.5%. I mean, that's almost half of your salary that is going to taxes. That doesn't encourage people to be ambitious and to work hard. Now, you put next to that in your surroundings, you have much more attractive investment climates where taxes are concerned. And you realize that we have some competition going on here. So how we're complaining about our economy is basically stagnant. But what are we really doing to encourage investment and encourage entrepreneurs, encourage young people to be self-employed rather than to complain that they can't get a job? You need to create an environment where this is attractive, where this is motivated and stimulated. And as far as entrepreneurs are concerned, I think we need to go a step further. We need to provide them with the tools to be able to get themselves started. There's a program now that the Chamber of Commerce actually has done now they're busy with for the second year, and that's a business plan competition. And with that, you know, the participants and the winners, they get financial advantages, they get equipment for their office, and so and that's a nice project, and it is an example of some of the things that need to be done if we are really serious about encouraging our young people to get into business. our educational system needs to not just educate people to be workers, to be employees, but also teach them to be employers. Our vocational system needs to be, or education needs to be better. It simply needs to be better. I remember going to high school, MAVO, HAVO, it was at Milton Peters College. They had at the time LTS. Now, when boys got out, and it was particularly boys that went to the LTS, right, who did not go to the academic stream, you came out of that school, and if you did carpentry, you were actually a carpenter. You could do it. And the same thing went for electricity and plumbing and metal work. And these guys could actually get a job because they had the skill. Over the years, particularly the vocational training has deteriorated. Now, I've been talking to some people in the education system and some of them who have been in it, and there are plans on the table, there are proposals that have been made, but it's the acting upon it to improve particularly that vocational area, the vocational skills, to get our young people back and make them employable. You know, we complain that, yeah, the boys they're hanging around in the corner and they're not getting involved, they're not looking for work. But have we given them the basis so that they can be employed? I mean, we can also complain that the employers are not employing them, but if we are not giving the young people the skills to actually do the work, then government, you need to step up to the plate and make some changes. I think something that we need to look at is the hard trust. There's a program in Jamaica, a vocational program supported by the ministry that was geared towards improving the vocational skills of their young people. It seems to be a program that is working just fine. And then you may ask, okay, so how does a member of parliament, because that's the office you're running for, how does a member of parliament get itself involved in such details? But remember the link that I mentioned to you before. You go to the electorate, the people to vote for you. You have a plan, a manifesto. Those people who get elected, they put a council of ministers in place. There's a governing program. That governing program has in the priorities. Now, you have a minister of education, you have a minister of labor. Parliament is monitoring what they're doing. Parliament makes suggestions, recommendations. Parliament, in its own education committee, can go and visit an educational program such as that in Jamaica, gather information for itself. And so it can be more critical of the people who are running the day-to-day affairs of government, of the people of St. Martin. You know, I try to tie it all in so that people can sort of understand what it is when you go and vote for somebody, what it is you can expect from a member of parliament.
We have there are a lot of problems. And the one that I mentioned earlier to you about the taxes, I hope that it will be given more priority, however, because the tax administration on this island is in poor shape. That needs to be addressed because it's causing undue hardship to the working class and the working poor of this country. And I join the working poor there because they are sometimes wrongfully assessed and actually at times cheated out by the very government who's supposed to protect them by giving them assessments. And because of lack of knowledge and education, they don't know what to do. They end up paying for things they're not supposed to pay for. These are issues I'm concerned about because I see what's happening to our people. We have the problem with our young people that are unemployed. Some are unemployable. The whole cultural atmosphere, we as St. Martin people, how we view ourselves and how we view other people, we get into a stage where it's like everything that is St. Martin is bad and everything that is not from St. Martin is okay and fine. And you as a politician who's been around for a long time, how do you really feel about the situation? Because it looks like nothing is going to change. And what I said to you just a while ago is what a lot of our own people are feeling, but they can't just articulate it. They're feeling, they're fed up, they're disappointed, they don't see any hope.
Oral, First of all, I'm a St. Martiner first. You say I'm a politician, but I'm a St. Martiner first. And I live it. I mean, I live it too. I may not live next to that person who is going through that difficulty at this point in time at their level, but I am living in that community, so it affects me. It affects all of us. Oral, the treatment that we get from the tax administration, from the tax office, that is something that can be dealt with. That is not an impossible task. Again, it is what sort of pressure is your parliament putting on your executive branch in office? Has the Minister of Finance been brought in and questioned and instructed, basically, to do something about it? I mean, that's one thing. But let it be clear, and when it comes from a legislative point of view, where Parliament gets involved, your income tax rate needs to go down. It has to go down. Your profit tax rate has to go down. The burden of taxes has to be spread. What am I saying? I mean, that tax that comes off your salary every month, that needs to go down so that you have more money left in your pocket. That tax that you pay as a business, that needs to go down so that your business has more money to continue improving, but also to pay better wages. The tax office, and years ago, when I just started my own business in the early 90s, used to have these help desks. You would go in, and anybody, whether it was a lady that was on pension, that got her stack of assessments and didn't know what to do, you made an appointment and you got help. And I know that help was, that service was a tremendous help.
I think they're still doing it.
Right. People need to know. So that information, there is somewhere you can go. There is someone you can go to get that help. That just has to be promoted. Sometimes it's the little things. Sometimes it's just giving that information. Sometimes it's going to the people. It's okay to go to the people. Our services, my mother, for example, has dementia, and she's still required to go physically to SZV to show that she's alive. And I say to the SZV, why can't you come home?
Right.
Why can't you come home?
Other countries do it.
Yeah. The census office does it. So why can't the tax office do it? You see, there are little things, but we just need to make that switch. Yeah. We got to go from what we are used to being a little creative. It doesn't take a whole lot. And to realize that government services are there to do exactly that, give service to the people. The people are paying their taxes. That is how government employees get paid. So you are working for the people. Go and give them service. Go and give them service. You want to take you want to deal with unemployment of those that are unemployable, so to speak? Well, don't only give them the skills, because we can do that. We have that in our hands. We can give them the skills. But you know what? We need to go into the neighborhoods, right? And those, and you know, every group has leaders. Empower those leaders so that they have that strength, are equipped to hire the people out of their own neighborhoods. Don't expect and then complain that a business in Curacao, for example, is not hiring some a young boy that didn't finish high school and has no skills from, for example, St. Peter's. I just use any example, but if you take that leader in St. Peter's and you say, you know something, I'm going to equip you. I'm going to equip you to hire the people in St. Peter's so that they can get that education, so they can get the skills, so they can get a job, so they can put food on the table and take care of their families. Now, there is a program that can work. And you know what? And everybody benefits.
So you're saying community-based programs are a lot better, staying within the community.
It's a
builds
start.
the community also.
It builds the community, and you're more, and the young people, that are from that community are, you can't get them all, okay?
They feel
you
more
can't.
connected to everything.
Yeah, they're more connected, so they'll feel more comfortable and do better and do better. But you need to equip them. And this talking about we're going to take them out of here and try to employ them in town or in Simpson Bay. No, let's start here. You know what? Eventually, the children of those young guys are going to get the big jobs too. But they got to start somewhere. We can't just throw them away. They have value. Their lives matter. But we have to really pay attention. You know what? And we need to dare to go to them. We need to dare to go into their neighborhoods, into their area, and solve the problems there, not take them out of there and then put them in an area that is already doing okay and then expect them to do well.
So on the campaign trail, have you seen the level of poverty we have, and when you compare it to 95 to now, is it better or worse?
It's worse. Without a doubt, it is worse. I have seen levels of poverty now that I have never seen before. Let me tell you, years ago, I had an opportunity to speak to, at the time, Queen Beatrix, and she had a couple of concerns for St. Martin, and that was the dump and poverty. And at that time, I boldly told her, I said, poverty that you see on St. Martin, a lot of that is a result of immigrant workers coming to St. Martin, spending as little as they can, living together, so many in a room, and sending most of their money to their country to take care of their families. And so that the poverty that was visible at that time was not real poverty. But today, and for the past few years, that's a different story. We have born St. Martiners living in poverty that is unacceptable. Unacceptable.
So what do you think is the solution to that? Do you think there are solutions to it?
There are. Wherever there's a challenge, there's a solution. It starts by making sure that you have people in Parliament that know what their job is and are willing to take the bold step and go to the communities and not just stay in the Parliament building and go to their office and then from there go home. No, you need to go. You need to dirty your hands, so to speak.
Because I've heard so many people running for political office telling me their concerns, what they've observed in the last few years when they go to visit homes.
Yeah.
And it's just getting worse. And that's why I ask myself, what are the solutions?
But a lot of it is education. Yeah, there's the level of poverty now, and a lot of it is also related to other social problems, such as addiction and alcoholism, and you get the kids that get stuck in the vicious circle, okay? But again, they're all issues that you can deal with, and who has the power? Who has the power to deal with it? Who has the power to go in to these communities to deal with it? It's the government. I mean, you can't save everybody, so to speak, but you can make a dent. You can make an improvement. You can at least start setting up so that the next generation doesn't end up in that same situation.
Because what I'm seeing is a vicious cycle, and a cycle that's just increasing, annually as it goes along. And the more it increases, more difficult it will become to really tackle that problem.
Yeah, so imagine those kids still going to into a school system in which they're not actually learning anything. So automatically they're going to end up in the same situation. But if we know that the education they are getting is actually teaching them a skill, is actually giving them knowledge, and Oral, if they don't come back, if they go away and they don't come back, as long as they're not living in poverty, they're doing something good. They're positive. We made a positive contribution. You got to look at it that way too. And not everybody will come back to St. Martin. And that we need to accept that is okay too. There's only one position as a CEO of SZV. There's only one position as CEO of the harbor. And if that's taken up, then you got to wait for a few decades before that position becomes available. So I'm just drawing that reference as an example.
No, that's fine because there's only one position on live talk show host. Right. And only 1% of 15 parliamentarians.
So here's the point. Not everybody will come back. There's not a position for everybody. You take an astronaut, for example. There's no job for an astronaut here. Yeah. So, but at the same time, I think there are a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities, and so we need to realize and make that switch.
And that's what you said there, what I wanted to hear. The opportunity is because there's so many opportunities on this island, and you know what bothers me? Is that our people don't see it.
But we need to open their eyes then. We need to show them the way then. If we have somebody who's a good welder, he or she should be able to see, I can work for somebody, or I can start my own welding shop. Now, what are the challenges starting my own welding shop? Maybe I don't know how to run a business. I don't know where to get started. How do I get started? Can I get a sole proprietorship? What is that? Where do I go? What sort of taxes do I have to pay? What's the administration? How do I do my administration? Well, why can't government have a business center where a person like that can go to and say, well, this is my idea. This is what I need to do. Same government, whether in...
I like that idea. Why don't you promote that?
Yeah, so I'm doing that now.
Right. So no, but seriously, yes, that's a great idea. So could you work on that when you're elected?
I have already written it out, Oral. I'm ahead of you. I've written it out. Now you may say, okay, so Maria, you're going to become Minister of Economic Affairs and carry that out? No, not necessarily. But as a member of Parliament, when I say to the minister, and once we agree, this is what you're doing, I'm going to call you in 2 months and say, Minister, how's it going? How far is the help desk? How far is that business center?
We need that. We need that.
So the point I try, and I'm pulling, I don't know if you realize it, Oral, but every time I'm trying to make that connection, your member of Parliament has a big job.
I understand.
They're there not only to change laws, make laws, pass laws, but to monitor what your government is doing, your ministers are doing. Let's understand, your government is your ministers. They head it. The Council of Ministers, they run things.
They carry on the day-to-day operation of the country.
Yes. And Parliament, you have that authority. Call them in. Guide them. Tell them what your expectations are, what expectations the people have. And you are monitoring the development so that we can have results. It's simple. A kid goes into the class to make a test, and nobody invigilating, nobody checking to see if they're not cheating or actually doing it, mightn't do it.
And if you're elected, you will be a member of Parliament. There are 15 members in the Parliament of St. Martin. And I know there's a lot of you campaigning, but what are the main issues you feel are important? Say if there are 2, 3, or 4 that are really, really important to you, that you feel can make a difference if you're elected on the 26th of September.
Okay, so Oral, I'm glad that you put the focus on it is an election for Parliament, and it is indeed for those 15 people, 15 representatives, and it is Parliament came to existence because you just can't have all people assembling into a hall and saying, okay, this is important, we should do this, we should do that. So a member of Parliament is literally speaking on your behalf, is literally speaking on behalf of the people who voted them in. So you got to think about it. Is that person bringing across my concerns, and are they speaking as I would have spoken, or maybe even better than I would have spoken, and addressing the issues that are important to me as a citizen? That's a consideration you need to give as you consider who you're going to vote for. Now, the important issues, there are so many important issues, but those that I am focusing on the campaign trail, and I say campaign trail because when you get into Parliament, you have to deal with all issues that are important. But based on my background and my expertise, I am focusing on taxes, lowering that tax burden, so lowering taxes on St. Martin, at the same time increasing the income so that for government, so that we can do more provide more services, do more, like getting that subsidy to the university that they need, and putting the money into vocational training and
Right.
creating entrepreneurial environment and training. Good. So you have the tax system, the labor market, the labor situation, the abuse of the 6-month contract, and it might sound funny and ambiguous, and it's going on and on. And somebody wrote me just some day ago, yes, this is a problem, and you know, what you're going to do about it? I say, well, you know, it can be solved, but it requires cooperation from employers, employees, and government. And if we can all get together and compromise where necessary, we can deal with the abuse of the 6-month contract. So, you know, there is one that needs to be dealt with. It will get my attention. Those labor issues will get my attention. And preparing and equipping our labor market so that we have a better skilled labor force. Giving our people a better opportunity, giving our entrepreneurs a better opportunity, but creating the environment and providing them with the tools to be able to be successful, not just as working for somebody, but working for themselves and perhaps employing other people. Right. Okay, so you have, those are the main issues, the education, the labor, the taxes, and of course the justice system, because there has to be equality. There has to be a guarantee of equality within our justice system. A young person who's found themselves in violation of the law and in the system needs to feel guaranteed and safe that they're getting the best representation, even if they cannot speak the Dutch language or understand the documents they are getting. They need to know that even if they cannot afford an expensive lawyer, that they are getting the best representation within our democratic system. That is something that will get my attention as well.
The lawyers have to be paid a little better. Right now, what lawyers are paid to represent those that cannot afford to have a lawyer, and most of the lawyers complain about that, is the amount of money that government paid to them. I think about 700 kilos or something like that. So
perhaps we need to start refocusing.
Right. Right.
We need to start refocusing, and perhaps we need to start focusing on prosecuting crimes that really need to be focused on. It is your Minister of Justice, together with your courts and your Hof. The English word just escapes me at this moment. But together, you determine your policies, how you're going to move forward, where you're going to focus on. Perhaps you need to start looking at where the waste is. Where are we wasting money? Start saving on the waste that perhaps is carrying out political agendas of others, particularly not here on St. Martin, and refocusing where it is important to get our community in a safe area, in a safe environment. Focus what is important on us, and maybe some money can be taken out of the waste because of the lack of focus what is important for us, and that money going towards paying the so-called free lawyers better.
Well, you know, we only have about a minute remaining, so it's all yours in closing.
Well, Earl, first of all, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for being on your program. To the people of St. Martin, September 26, 2016, you once again have the opportunity to go to the polls. I urge you to really consider who you put in Parliament. Again, it is about someone who can speak for you, who has the skills, experience, and will listen to the people and bring to the forefront the issues that are important to you, the people of St. Martin. I'm saying, of course, that I have those skills, that experience, and I have that listening ear, and I am in your community. I come to you. I don't wait for you to come to me. So on September 26th, I'm asking you for your support. I am number 5 on the blue list, on the USP, the United St. Martin Party. That's the list I'm on, number 5, and together, we'll fight for us. I thank you.
All right, thank you for coming, and wish you much success. And that's it for now. See you next time. Delang, good night. Take care. Bye.